Okay, I may be skipping around here. So let's back up a little bit. Let's back up to when I was in this the eighth grade. Okay, in the eighth grade is when things started changing as far as my hip hop influence. This was when I was 13 years old, and my cousins, once again, Richard Spencer and Marcita Spencer and Roy Spencer and Tanya Spencer, which were their cousins on their father's side, their first cousins on their father's side. I was their first cousin on their mother's side. So, but we would all hang out together. So at this time, we started going to concerts. So along with Richard and Roy being DJs, then there were these little concerts that started coming to Youngstown, to a place called the Star Palace in Youngstown, Ohio. So my very first concert that I can recall going to was, it was either the Fat Boys and Salt and Pepper, or it was Heavy D and Salt and Pepper. But either way, I think yes, it was Heavy D and Salt and Pepper, because Marcita and Tanya, they all got autographs from G Wiz and T Roy and Heavy D. And no, okay, the Fat Boys were there. It wasn't Salt and Pepper. The first concert was Heavy D and the Fat Boys. And I remember they were all back there by the buses getting photographs and autographs and everything like that. But I can recall going to the Star Palace and seeing Heavy D rock. Heavy D was on a record label called Uptown Records, and he had come out on this compilation album of Uptown Record MCs. And really, the only artists I can remember off of that record were Heavy D and Groove Be Chill. And safe to say, I don't even remember the Groove Be Chill record. I just remember their picture on the album. I don't even know if they had a song on there, or if they did have a song on there, the song was pretty whack, because I have no recollection of the song. I only remember them because Chill had this like great presence where he was standing up tall, and he had on a black hat, and he was skinny, he had on his suspenders, he had on a really great outfit, a really great presence on the album cover. So that's how I remember him, the Groove Be Chill group. But I only remember Heavy D from that album. And I think I can't say, I wouldn't say that Salt and Pepper was on that album. They may have been. They weren't part of that label, so they couldn't have been on that album. But the album was pretty funky, and I noted that Uptown Records was a label to look out for, of being makers of funky music. It was just the way I operated. Like if you made a funky album, or you made a funky production, I noted you as someone to follow. I ended up following like Busta Rhymes in this way. As you see, Busta Rhymes became the star, because everything that Busta Rhymes with the early records, and he started doing outside production, and even the songs that he produced on the Leaders of the New School's first album, and then they did outside production for like Nicki D, and the songs were just funky that the Leaders of the New School produced, and especially the ones that Busta Rhymes had a hand in. So I noted him as like a funky producer, and even before that, like, well, I'll get into that later. But so back to the concerts. Watching Heavy D rock was just influential, and it just made me really want to really kind of gave me this inkling to want to be on stage or to be a rapper. It's just a little small inkling. It wasn't that great at the time, but Heavy D really rocked the stage at the Star Palace. And of course, the Fat Boys rocked the stage. Like, the Fat Boys were huge at the time, really. And so those were some great shows at the Star Palace, going to see Heavy D. And then I think the second concert was at the Star Palace again. This time it was Heavy D. No, this time it may have been, yes, Heavy D and Salt and Pepper and the Fat Boys. It may have been all three. And so Salt and Pepper, of course, rocked the house. The Fat Boys rocked the house. And Heavy D, like every time I only saw Heavy D twice, those two times in concert. And every time, maybe a third time, I think he came like as a headliner for the show on his own. He actually got there really, really late. He apologized. He was really tired. But even in his tiredness, he still rocked the show. Him and G Wiz and T Roy, they were just great, like, stage presenters of their art form. They had really one of the greatest live shows I could really say ever that I've ever seen, was a Heavy D and the Boys show. They really rocked the house. So those were some influential times for going to those concerts at the Star Palace in Youngstown. And then we start to move on into me getting into more dress styles and so on and so forth of the current day dress. on my next segment.